a lot of time taking all the other objectives, because Copenhagen Wolves, they just snatched up everything on the map.
I would have loved to have seen them put Nasus in the jungle and maybe a Rumble up top. Combo all of that CC with more AoE damage, and it maybe could have helped against the squishy targets of Vayne and Kassadin.
They definitely needed something else from the jungle. Even in their match, or their series in Tenerife, a lot of it hinged on which jungler got the early pressure. And that pretty much decided the games in Tenerife. It was which jungler got the early kills and which one had the early invade. So having Nertador just go on Shyvana and farm up his own jungle and not have an effect on any of the lanes really put them behind very early, and they weren't able to come back from that.
Well, we're going to have to see how this particular match pans out. In terms of the bans, Copenhagen Wolves mirror their bans from the previous game. Kha'Zix, Zed, and Twitch have been removed from the pool.
So
TCM feel that feel like Kassadin is more scary.
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't change what you're doing. They just do the same bans. It's not on Copenhagen Wolves to switch up the strategy. It's on TCM right now. And they have made that one adaptation. Okay, last time we took away Zyra, that was a bad plan because we gave you Kassadin. So now we're just going to straight ban out Kassadin. And they actually first picked Thresh instead. So they've abandoned the Zyra plan where they wanted to keep that away from Kautar.
So the question is now from TCM, do they want to consider picking Shen? It was banned out in the previous game. They actually banned it. It is a possibility for Youngbuck. Youngbuck does tend to play the sort of bruisery, tankier top laners, and Shen is definitely one of the champions that he is well known for. And if you've got, Java, Lissandra, Shen, maybe they go with Vayne again. That's a pretty scary comp if you're a Copenhagen Wolves player.
They will definitely need some extra damage there if they do decide to go for that, because Lissandra has a lot of control, but with the recent changes, her damage was taken down a bit, and it's hard for her to finish off people without other sources. So that would put a lot of weight on Reckless shoulders to be the main source of damage and carry through that one.
It wouldn't surprise me. I feel like his shoulders have been well tested by this point, and I think they carry pretty well. The one thing I do want to talk about, TCM, Nertador, locked in Shyvana again.
Yeah.
This time with less crowd control. I'm not sure if I like that.
How are they going to deal with Reckless right here? There's so much peel for Reckless this time. They first picked Lissandra away here for Copenhagen Wolves, so not only do they have the options for engaging when they've got a split pusher in Shen, but they also have such great disengage. This is the answer here for TCM. Adding that control from their duo lane, bringing the Ash Arrow. All you have to do is hit the Crystal Arrow, and there's your engage that you're looking for. Shyvana being very farmed up is actually a good tank of turrets, so they can go for the turret dives as long as they're able to hit the Crystal Arrows.
You make it sound like that's easy. Just hit the Crystal Arrow. Through the Shen, the Jarvan, the Na'Vi, potentially Lissandra, and just find Reckless. We'll see if it works.
So there is one thing about Lissandra. She's actually squishy if you're able to lock her down, so she can't use her invulnerabilities. She doesn't have a lot of resistances or health. It's just that she has so many escapes if you aren't able to lock her down. So if you're able to land both a Cocoon and a Crystal Arrow, they actually have the potential to burst her down as a second option. Of course, always the #1 target you're aiming for is Reckless, and you're going to be wanting to take him out.
And it does look like Reckless is once again locked in that Vayne. He had a very good game on Vayne in the previous match. Was never really, let's be honest, was never really a threat of going down in those fights. Played it very safe. You talked about how he was able to position effectively, and it worked in his favor. Going to be a little bit more difficult now against an Ash Arrow, against an Elise, and against Requiem. I think now, if TCM decides to sort of tunnel vision on Reckless, it'll be slightly easier for them to actually get to him and maybe have more of an impact.
Yeah, Elise definitely more mobile than Nasus, and it also gives them the potential for another way of picking off someone from Copenhagen Wolves. If you can land one of those straight cocoons, then that's an easy go signal for TCM here. And now that they have Karthus also, they have a good endgame answer that's going to get guaranteed damage onto Reckless no matter where he is. A Requiem, if Reckless does not build some magic resist, is going to be half his life near the end game. So all they really have to do is add on Elise over there to execute after that. and that could be their game plan.
Well, we'll have to see how effectively JWoww can make that Elise work for him in this game, because a lot of pressure is going to be on him finding and poisoning that Vayne in the back line. This is, of course, the European LCS Challenger Series Promotion Qualifier, if I get that right. And Copenhagen Wolves are 1-0 up. I know over on the B stream, KMT are currently taking on AT. They're about to get into their second game as well. We're loading up into this one. This time around, TCM on the blue side, and we'll see if they can control their jungle more effectively, because they simply didn't do it at all in the previous game.
And we said before, TCM are not playing for that spot in the promotional tournament, but Copenhagen Wolves are, so they're not going to let up at all. They're going to come full at TCM here and hope to grab that spot right now. They don't even want to take it to 3 games.
Well, we'll see if they can do it. Copenhagen Wolves have definitely done that in the past. We've seen them closing out many LAN finals before, and the Wolves will be looking to avenge their loss in Tenerife. Remember where TCM were able to actually win the series 2-1. Right now, we do see TCM-Gaming poising themselves towards this top lane, maybe trying to go create a death bush of their own. If Youngbuck or any other member of the Wolves starts sniffing around, they might be in trouble.
All right, so with Thresh Death Sentence available, try and pull the blind hook from out of vision of the tri-bush. They don't actually even go for it. Shen is easily going to taunt away, and TCM have been spotted.
So they managed to, at the very least, get Youngbuck to skill up his Shadow Dash as opposed to any other ability, so could make his level 1 laning phase just a little bit more frustrating if they go for those lane swaps. Just to give you guys a quick update, in case you are not dual streaming this, which you should be, KMT are victorious over AT in their very first game of the series. That is the old Nexus lineup, so I'm sure you guys will recognize many of their names. There's, of course, Joe and Jason bringing you all of that action.
Now, the other thing that I like about that last lock-in of Ashe as the AD carry for TCM is that Ashe is very strong against those split-pushing teams. Because of the ability to catch people out with Crystal Arrow, you can hard engage as long as you're able to hit that. You can either go for the split pusher and land that Crystal Arrow onto Shen and go to the source of the global and make him pay for it there, or you can force the Stand United out of him by engaging on the 4-man team.
Well, we'll have to see how that works out. TCM could also use that in a defensive situation, or aggressive in a lower number position where they could throw Arrow out, get Elise to jump on there and close it out with Requiem. It all stems from them landing that ability. As it stands, Naruto Adore, he's starting on his red buff this time around as opposed to the blue. It does look like Coutard and Youngbuck are actually going to donate a very early blue buff to Coutard. They definitely want to get some lane superiority against that Karthus.
Youngbuck definitely seems to be a fan of not going to his 2-versus-1 lane at the start and spending his time in the jungle. The second time in a row that he has gone to lane late because of helping with a buff. And here's the counter invade.
Naruto Adore gets thrown up into the air by that Aqua Prisoner with the red buff of Shook. They managed to get a lot of good damage onto Naruto Adore. Knockup does land as well. Exhaust immediately comes up, but here comes Reckless. He's only level 1. Instant flashes from both teams. They're going to think about diving, but unfortunately not going to back that, or not going to work that time round. A couple extra Summer Spells blown on the side of the Wolves though.
This level 1 so well played by Copenhagen Wolves. Let's run through how they got 3 of the buffs off the map. They had Jarvan, they rotated their AD carry and support up top first, and so they were able to help Jarvan at his red, plus assist with the invade. There's no way that TCM are going to be able to defend that blue, being at a man disadvantage. But the key was that they had Shen and Lissandra take the blue early, with Shen tanking it, so that Lissandra could also collapse with a blue buff and full HP.
Well, we'll have to see how much that actually affects Youngbuck, because he is only sitting on those 2 CS right now in his 2v1 lane. The longer they can delay Youngbuck Shen level 6, the happier TCM are going to be. They don't want that global presence available. However, if we jump to the mid lane, does look like a fight's going down. Coutard manages to root up Belgian Beast and Naruto Adore, and basically walks away from that gank.
Lissandra is never going to be scared of a Shyvana gank. Not only can she get away, but she can also just root both of them in place, as you just saw there. There's no hard CC at all in this combination, and Coutard is right at home.
Well, he manages to fend that one off, got a small CS advantage over that Karthus. And you have to imagine that once Coutard gets closer to level 6, there is actual burst potential. Wall of Pain is not going to affect somebody who's flying through the air with that Claw of Doom.
He does have the burst potential, and he's the one with the jungler that you actually have to be scared of. He's got a Jarvan who's very, very strong in the early game, and a Lissandra-Jarvan lane combo is one of the most deadly mid-lane jungler combos that there are in the game. Karthus is a very squishy mid-lane champion, and without his flash, he's really going to have to play careful and either ward up both sides of that mid lane or just CS from very far back.
Well, Copenhagen Wolves are trying to set up a gank there. They managed to taunt Matrago. He does not manage to catch the Dark Passage and forced to flash while Barney D threw the lantern out. So a little bit of miscommunication between the two of them. Not an optimal escape.
Definitely would like that cooldown back because Ashe has no innate escape. But from now on, it's going to be Thresh playing half of a screen back so that they will have that built-in escape. And next time, he's going to punch his ticket and take that ride on the Dark Passage.
Get himself out cleanly. No kill on the board just yet. 5 minutes as far as the clock timer is concerned. Reckless, 31 CS to Matraco's 37 to 31. And in terms of the 2v1s, this time around, JWoww is doing significantly better than in the previous game. As that Nasus, he's able to have a little bit more of an impact, and of course the range nature of Elise will obviously play a big factor in that.
Yeah, he was able to get a few more CS early because of the range that Elise has, but Youngbuck was not zoned from experience at all during the early levels, and so that's really what he cares about in the early stage of this game, is just getting that level 6 so that he can stand united and turn around any aggression elsewhere on the map.
Well, we'll have to see if they're going to use that stand united defensively or offensively. Both options are available. In the way the Copenhagen Wolves played the previous game, you have to feel that somebody's going to throw themselves into a fight with that Shen coming down on their back, following it up with a taunt. As Youngbuck is getting closer and closer to that level 6, we do see JWoww has already hit the cusp of power and has unlocked a little bit stronger spiderlings thanks to that ultimate.
And I'm surprised actually that the Belgian Beast was able to survive even those couple minutes without his flash and without any wards on the mid lane. He only felt comfortable staying there and farming because he saw Jarvan in the lane bottom. And as soon as Jarvan left that bottom lane, he immediately recalled to go grab some wards so that he's not susceptible to that gank.
As it stands, Belgian Beats falling about 8 CS behind his opponent. Just trying to use those little skittles, those layer wastes to the best of his ability. He's doing relatively well. He is about to hit level 6 as well. Ironically, going to hit level 6 slower than his 1v2 lane of JWoww, and that's obviously thanks to those ganks and playing super passive and defensive in that mid lane.
Anytime you're up against Lissandra Jarvan with no flash, you're going to have to play very far back. It did cost him a little bit, but Karthus is going to be fine farming up until the late game. TCM are just sitting on this one.
Well, as it stands right now, you can see that Shook, he just picked up his red buff. You do see that Unlimited decided to recall and spend some of that money that has been passively generating in his back pocket. And we do see Naruto once again extending that CS lead. He's currently at 40. It's basically the same as his solo laners right now, whereas Shook 2 is only sitting on 23 CS. The problem I still see is that Naruto, even with an immense amount of farm, is not a very big threat if a team is mobile. If Shen is going to, taunt away, or Jarvan pulls himself to safety, or the Claw of Doom comes down, Shyvana's just going to stand there with the tail in her hand saying, well, what do I do now?
Copenhagen Wolves just have so much potential to kite TCM through a team fight in the mid game. When they do meet up, not only do they have the Lissandra, which is the queen of crowd control from the mid lane, but their support is Nami, who will be adding speed buffs to people, and the giant tidal wave, which can actually land if you use it defensively. Pretty hard to use it at long range trying to engage. But if TCM are the ones diving in, then it will be pretty easy.
Well, we'll have to see how that pans out, because as it stands, there are no kills on the board. There has been no real sense of aggression outside of a little bit of an invade from the Copenhagen Wolves.
There's the Stand United.
Stand United comes down. Reckless is going to be able to stay alive long enough for Youngbuck to arrive, but no flash taunt coming out as Naruto immediately backs away. But Ignite was burned by JWoww, and they got the Stand United out. So success in favor of TCM.
Yeah, that's definitely a good win there. Trading Ignite for Stand United, take that one any day.
A flash away from Naruto as well. He was afraid of that Aqua Prison. If he'd been locked up in the air, could have been the potential for a condemned follow-up stun. This game as well, there are no teleports available for our mid laners, so like we've seen in the previous game. So we're going to keep that in mind, that if you want to go somewhere, you've got to take a walk, use that Requiem, or that Stand United. It's the only insta-global presence we're going to have.
And another thing that TCM gained out of that aggression up top was that Shen had to leave his lane while it was pushed forward, which allowed Matraco to freeze it there. And it's enabling him to sort of catch up to Reckless in CS, which he desperately needs right now, since Youngbuck has done such a good job in the 2v1 situations.
And another thing that we are seeing from TCM, their 2v1 lanes have not been anywhere near as successful. Reckless is significantly further ahead as far as CS is concerned, and you have to think that Shook's ganks have been a lot more impactful in denying Matraco a farm and, you know, really making his life difficult. We do see that Naruto gets locked in, gets stunned up, rooted in place. First blood is secured by Countout after just perfect synchronization between himself and his jungler.
Not sure what TCM are continuing to look for in this Shyvana pick. They're not gaining any early game presence, and they're actually getting such an early game deficit that they can't gain anything late game that they may be looking for with her. She's a good tank buster now after the rework. When she can apply that debuff, just her auto attacks will be taking off percentage health, but they haven't even been able to make use of that, as they're too far behind when we do get to the end game.
Shook 2 does get caught by a Cocoon. Tidal Wave goes up. Blue buff is still standing. They throw up JWoww into the air with the Aqua Prison and an insta-flash away. Shook does not want the fight, but here comes Reckless. He tumbles to the side of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, survives the damage through the exhaust. Lane wastes are going down. Equalizer is available. This should be enough to kill Shook. Instead, JWoww gets the last hit, and the Requiem doesn't manage to secure anyone, but a 1-for-2 trade.
That's why everyone fears the solo lanes of TCM. 2 members chasing off the Copenhagen Wolves right there, and they came out of it with 2 kills for 1. Very good exchange.
Well played by them. Naruto Adol continues to steal some of that CS in the mid lane as TCM look to bounce back as far as the towers are concerned. They managed to wrap up their first tower of the game and even the score at 1-1 with the Copenhagen Wolves. The pressure is not over yet as Naruto Adol, with his double Doran's Blade, again, same build as last game, is now attacking that mid lane tower.
I'm still trying to figure out what they're getting out of this Shyvana.
It's broken Kobe. Shyvana has broken Kobe, ladies and gentlemen. I have to admit, I'm not quite seeing the benefit that TCM see, even less in this competition because there's so much less crowd control on their side.
He just always seems to be a step behind Shook. Not only does he have a greater presence in lane, but he even gets more objectives than Naruto is being able to get with his Shyvana. He's defending turrets, going in 2v1 lanes. He's coming to pick off dragons. They have that one timed now. Both teams actually will be aware of the next dragon that does respawn. So if TCM actually want to make use of their Crystal Arrow into basically just a diving Karthus like we saw before, then that will be the time to make it.
Well, we did see in the previous matchup that the Copenhagen Wolves really had Dragon's number. They secured so many dragons back to back to back to back. But in this game, TCM are definitely going to have to get some superior vision, maybe some superior positioning. However, they are only 1,000 gold behind. This is a much better predicament to be in than in the previous matchup where there were several thousand at this point in the game already.
I do think that they need to make a move though. Stand United's available, so going after the Shen is your safest bet as no one else can join the party, but diving him under a turret is a very risky proposition, especially when you don't have the Tribush warded and they can't be aware of the Lissandra roaming up. And
as on command, Countout is roaming towards the top lane, almost in anticipation of a tower dive, but there was no signal from TCM that that was going to happen, and Countout backs away. We do see in the bottom lane, Matraco throws out that Hawk shot, is unaware of Shook 2's positioning until he steps on top of the Tribush wall, but this may not dissuade him. He's looking to go in. Knockup goes out, and the flayback from Barney is enough to interrupt that EQ combo of Jarvan.
Play is such a good counter to Jarvan there. But we did see Youngbuck get chased off the turret here, so this is one advantage of that Shyvana jungle we can see in action. Taking down turrets very quickly, as Elise chases off a Shen.
So Naruto Adore and JWoww secure the second tower of the game for their team. TCM Gaming now 2-1 up as far as the turrets are concerned. They are also 500 gold ahead, which is a couple of wards and some potions, so nothing really to write home about, and the pressure has not let up. They are now on the inner top turret. Young Buck is going to be looking to land a taunt and buy time for Shook and Kautar to get to this top lane.
Very dangerous to go for this tower dive, but they're doing it. Here comes Jarvan as well.
So Naruto Doi immediately forced away. Cataclysm goes up. A repel from JWoww. He flashes over the wall, but not quickly enough. Glacial Tooth locks him up. One more spike comes down, and Kautar secures a kill onto JWoww's Elise.
Trying to make use of that extremely tanky combo up top, but they didn't have the wards to back up that dive. Yes, they got one turret and they wanted to press it for more, but you have to be able to back that up with vision. They didn't prep for that dive, and they paid the price.
And you've got to think that in terms of the actual dive, it almost felt like a desperation dive. It felt like TCM were forcing an objective, forcing a fight on their terms, because they've been playing so reactionary for so long against the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yet there's no reason for them to be desperate right now. The gold is tied up. They're not even behind right now.
If you look at the CS numbers, a large part of that is thanks to JWoww's farm in the top lane. He's got a good 20 CS above Young Buck Shen. There's another 30 CS difference between Naruto Adore and Shook 2 in the jungle. And of course, a small 7 deficit between the Belgian Beast and Kautar. So numbers are pretty close. TCM have still not grouped up for any objectives. They've still not grouped up to force a fight. And they seem to be content dealing with the sort of skirmishes and the split pushing that we've been seeing from them, albeit not particularly successfully.
They do like this matchup of the Elise Shen, and it's actually forced Young Buck to grab the early magic resist. Shen is always a pretty big fan of building Spirit Visage so he can get the cooldown reduction for his ultimate. And the magic resist just plays so well into that matchup versus Elise. So he'll be fine in that split push game as soon as he can complete that, spending time alone up there with Elise.
Oh, we do see a fight in the mid lane as Kautar gets pulled forward. He throws down his Glacial Prison onto himself, manages to survive a little while longer. Now the Zhonya's Hourglass is done. Belgian Beast is the first victim to fall. Requiem is available, starts being channeled. Nobody's low enough to go down just yet, as Shuktu is able to survive. I take that back as Nami was in fact dropped thanks to the Requiem. Now Reckless has joined the party. He's picked up a kill onto Matroko. They end up trading 3 for 2, but JWoww gets the top inner turret. At the end of the day, that's an advantage for TCM.
And that was just great use of Kautar's 5 seconds of invulnerability. Even though Lissandra not that tanky champion, they were waiting around. First through the Zhonyas, also through the self-ulti there. Good job delaying.
Well, we'll see how well this pans out for the time being. Reckless mirrored his build from the previous game. He is extremely overextended right now. If he can catch Naruto Adore, he may be able to kill him. But for the time being, JWoww is hunting. Gonna jump to the small golem, sings his fangs down, and with the explosive spider is gonna be enough to pick up a kill. That's Reckless just being on the wrong side of the river.
Deep in enemy territory there. We saw the power of that Elise. Spell penetration build right there just blew up Reckless. This is a good time for TCM to make their move.
And this is something that we highlighted during the preamble for this game of how important it was going to be for JWoww to actually set kills up, and more importantly, find those kills onto Reckless. So it was demonstrated it now, albeit Reckless was half HP in on the wrong side of the river. And we'll see if we can do the same thing in a team fight where it's going to be just a little bit harder.
Just a little bit. It'll be easier if Lissandra's not there to peel for him, though, taking a lot of harass.
The Cocoon lands, followed up with a death sentence. The Flay is going to land that last tick of damage, while Belgian Beast has single-handedly fended off against Unlimited and Shook.
There's that weakness of Lissandra that we talked about. The inability to get off her invulnerability spells during CC means she can be bursted down very quickly. Good job stacking those stuns from TCM.
And TCM are going to put some damage down into this dragon, secure themselves a dragon in this matchup. They now have a gold lead, a fairly sizable one actually at 18 minutes, 3,000 gold in about 6 minutes from the last time that we actually looked at it. It's all stemmed from being able to find those picks, find those kills, and it doesn't look like they're going to let up on the pressure.
This is the power spike that TCM need to take advantage of, because Copenhagen Wolves are trying to wait for an Aegis of the Legion to come in, and TCM are going for the turret dive.
Oh, they managed to land the cocoon onto Youngbuck. He just gets melted. We do see that Balni D actually lands the cocoon, the death sentence onto Shook too. They haven't stopped as the box goes down. Arrow from downtown lands onto Unlimited. Lay Waste destroying their HP bars, but there is no Requiem available. A flash forward from Kautar is going to be enough to secure himself his second kill of the fight. They trade 1 for 2, but once again, TCM-Gaming secure themselves a tower.
They were 2 towers deep during that one. They did come out with an objective, and they've increased their gold lead here.
Well, we'll see if they can maintain this hold and focus on the towers. It was ended up being a 2 for 2 as the Death Defied managed to trick my brain at the very least.
Yeah.
They've evened up the scoreboard at 8 to 8. And, you know, TCM, as long as they're picking up objectives after those fights and they're trading evenly, that's what the game is about. It's about the towers. It's about the objectives. And that's going to allow them to eventually get enough of a gold lead to not lose members in those team fights and in those trades.
They're doing a good job here of taking advantage when Copenhagen Wolves are spread out, though. Once Copenhagen Wolves are able to finish the Aegis of the Legion to get the magic resist aura and deal with this double AP solo laners, and they actually are able to group up and use their crowd control to peel for Reckless, if they can keep Vayne alive, then we've seen how Reckless can just dismantle a team from the back line. They just have to group up.
As far as the items are concerned, you do have to feel that Matraco is further ahead as far as the AD carry builds are concerned. Infinity Edge plus Zeal plus Vamp Scepter, and there's no Zeal or similar finish yet for Reckless. So there is a slight deficit. However, in a straight 1v1, if Matraco gets condemned into a wall, that's bye-bye Ash.
Reckless would definitely love to play that duel out. A good Vayne can actually tumble the Crystal Arrow, and if you're able to pull that one off, you don't even need the condemn into a wall, and he could win that duel.
Well, it sounds like you're questioning Reckless, Kobe. We'll have to see if the duel happens, because for the time being, it is still a 2v2. Both of the teams have resorted back to this sort of straight-up head-to-head as we're in this fairly late mid-game. I mean, TCM have got 4 towers down. Dragon's not on the map just yet. It's going to be a couple of minutes because TCM secured the previous one. And it really is just a matter of time before TCM say, we would like your buffs, or we would like your last inner turrets, because they have the ability to siege. They have the ability to actually fight under a tower with that very powerful Shyvana and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
They do have the option always of going for those turret dives, and that is one of the benefits that they do get from that Shyvana. The jungle Shyvana here become an extremely beefy tank, and maybe that's the point, is to soak up turret damage while they go for the Crystal Arrow initiations and force Standing United to be used defensively. There one!
There's the Crystal Arrow, but it lands before the Dragon Strike comes out, so Shook too gets stunned up, but he gets stunned up while dragging himself to that flag. Manages to stay alive, and I guess the pause button is on for a little while. However, Kautar wants to play. Belgian Beast and JWoww coming in from the side. Tidal Wave goes down. It throws up Shyvana in the air and absolutely nobody else. We do see that the entire team of Copenhagen Wolves is grouped up nice and tightly. This is really the first time that we've actually seen a potential 5-on-5.
Yeah, but with the reliable engage for both teams down right now, they both actually have to back off. Jarvan would not want to go in head first with just Cataclysm when his combo is down from the EQ.
Well, we'll have to see how long TCM or the Copenhagen Wolves decide to wait. That Crystal Arrow is not too much longer away from being available, and you know, we did see both of the teams posturing and battling and having that sort of standoff in the Baron Pit in the previous game. It's a possibility to bait the Copenhagen Wolves there. If TCM set up a Ring of Vision in the red buff, they could pull the Wolves towards them, and that could be the go signal. Pull them in, land an arrow, and go, go, go.
Either team stands a lot to gain from a bad engage by the other team. If they can clear out Vision and force the other team to walk into their hands, Kautar has to use the Glacial Path to get away.
He does manage to get away with that Claw of Doom, actually throws down the prison on Naruto. Maybe a little bit antsy of that Dragon's Descent, was afraid of
TCM decide to go for the tower dive that we've been talking about. They're actually calling for it right now, knowing that the Lissandra ulti is down.
Well, we'll see how well this pans out. Youngbuck is off farming the Wolf Camp, but he does have Stand United available. All of TCM are now started hammering away on this inner turret. The Aqua Prison goes out, catches absolutely no one. Belgian Beast has started the fight. The Ash Arrow does manage to lock up Countdown for a brief second. He does get the Zhonya's Hourglass up. Now the first victim of the fight is going to be the Belgian Beast, but here comes the Requiem. The Ritterador is taking so much damage from Reckless as the layways go out. Now the Death Defied is finding an aware off. Those Frost Arrows slowing Youngbuck down, and all of the Copenhagen Wolves forced backwards. They trade 1 for 1. But guess what? TCM secure a tower.
Yeah, again, between two turrets, they dive so deep and are still able to trade evenly and then get the objective afterwards. TCM really doing a good job of cleaning this one up. They're also able to gain the Dragon on top of that, and it's because even though they didn't get the kill, they were able to get everyone on Copenhagen Wolves low enough that they couldn't contest either objective.
As it stands, the game is slowly growing further and further and further away from the Copenhagen Wolves. The gold value is now up to 6,000. Another Dragon was just secured in favor of TCM-Gaming. You know, you cannot discount the strength and the power that the Karthus and the Elise are going to garner as this game goes on. It's going to potentially get to a point that Reckless cannot survive no matter what.
Yeah, now, I called out the low damage here from Copenhagen Wolves in the beginning, and we said it was going to be all on Reckless to put that up and make up for it and carry this one. If he's having to spend all of his time dodging, and he's not putting out DPS constantly in the fight, then there's not a lot of threat here from Copenhagen Wolves, and that's why TCM are so confident in diving through turrets.
Well, we may be looking towards a third game in our first Challenger semi-final. But it is still very early days, and not discounting Copenhagen Wolves just yet. They do have super hyper carries that can, of course, pull them into it. You know, Countdown, he's 6-2-2. He's only missed out on one of his team's kills as far as the killer assist is concerned, and you cannot discount the power that Frozen Tomb offers if he manages to get it onto JWoww or Matroko. I feel like those are more important targets for him to lock up than the likes of Belgian Beast Karthus.
Belgian Beast is just on a suicide mission. He's fine with dying every single time, and he'll try and get into the middle of the Copenhagen Wolves team. But really, if Copenhagen Wolves are able to start off the team fight without having Lissandra being caught out, then it will turn much better for them. She's having to use her invulnerabilities extremely early, and it's costing them DPS time.
So we'll see how well Belgian Beast can position themselves in these upcoming fights. He's currently sitting 2, 4, and 5. Got that Rabadon's Death Cap completed, as well as his Rod of Ages ticking up over time. In terms of the other itemization, another Zhonya's Hourglass sitting in the side of JWoww. So not only can he dive the back line and put damage down, he's going to survive for, you know, a good couple seconds extra. Make the lives of the Copenhagen Wolves even more difficult. There's nothing super exciting as far as the items are concerned, but the Locker of the Iron Solar has been completed for sure.
And now we have the engage here onto Shyvana, the tank.
Does just get dropped, but manages to jump away. Oh, that Ash Arrow manages to land down to Kauton. He does get out the Zhonya's Hourglass, but it's not going to be long before he gets dropped. This is a brilliant fight for TCM-Gaming. They've secured one. Karthus once again goes down, but that's exactly what Karthus wants to do. They've managed to trade 1 for 2, and this may be barren. The onus is on the Copenhagen Wolves to deny this, and they've got no jungler and no smites.
Copenhagen Wolves blew everything on the jungle Shyvana, the pure tank Shyvana there, and they had nothing left for the rest of TCM.
Now we do see TCM, they jump over the wall. JWoww manages to just sink his fangs into the fishy Nami, and let's get dropped down. Now Youngbuck, even he is getting melted by all of those critical hits coming down from Matroko's Ash. 2 additional kills secured, and Copenhagen Wolves, they weren't really even committed to the defense or to the interruption. They just sorted in one by one.
Copenhagen Wolves slowly learning the lesson that CLG learned a season ago. 2 threats is not enough. So here's the catch onto Shyvana, but they burned everything, and a good Crystal Arrow means that they can capitalize again, not giving Coutard enough time to be able to get off another spell rotation, having to use both invulnerabilities right there very early, and Karthus going down again. That's the member of TCM that's fine with dying. He's going to continue to get off his damage no matter what.
So you've got to feel that Copenhagen Wolves maybe feeling the pressure of the game, maybe feeling, backed into a corner. They made a play that, it worked against them. Now all of a sudden the Wolves are 9,000 gold behind their opponents. It's basically a mirror of the previous game, and TCM have all the initiation tools in the world. They have the ability to pick any fight they want, and it's now up to the Wolves to either find a mistake or to make a pick actually work. You can't throw yourselves at Shyvana, not kill her, and then, cry about it. That was a poor call, unfortunately. It just backfired on them.
Probably going to have to go with somebody squishier if they are going to blow everything, and it will be a misposition from TCM. But in order to make that happen, they would have to regain control of their side of the map. They only have some defensive wards here up at each of their own buffs to work with, and that's not enough, especially since with the Baron buff, TCM have by far and away the upper hand in the team fight.
Well, Dragon will be respawning in the not too distant future, at least as far as TCM are concerned. They're going to be warding this one up. It's something that TCM maybe, I don't want to say slacking on, but it's something that we've not seen a significant amount of. Considering how many towers they've got down and considering the power that their composition has at finding picks, you would expect them to have more vision control. JWoww does get taunted up, the tidal wave comes down. JWoww does manage to get off the Zhonya's hourglass with the bubble, throws up Carthus into the air. Belgian Beast is the first victim of the fight. Requiem will be up in a couple seconds, but he's not going to have time to channel it. Requiem, Reckless forced to use barrier, and he is still alive. The only victim of the fight has been Carthus so far, as JWoww was able to get away to safety. A double bubble from Unlimited, throws up Naruto and Matroko, followed up by a double taunt, but they managed to kill Reckless, and TCM are able to clean house right now. Shuk2 forced to run with his tail between his legs, and TCM get a 4-for-1 trade.
Copenhagen Wolves were able to find a squishier target, but they still came out behind. Ash able to walk straight into that team fight and destroy Reckless. Starting off with that great crystal arrow on the target that they want to hit is perfect. This team fight was all Ash. Now he walks into the backline, and they're going to be able to go on Nexus Turret from this.
TCM are looking to finish this one up. Matroka's got the attack damage, he's got the attack speed, and they're going to carry on chasing. They get one Nexus Turret down, realize the death time is down to a couple of seconds, and they start to back away. Beginning of this game, I said, can they land the arrow through everybody and find it? The answer right there was yes. That arrow was superb, and it just let Reckless, it cost him so much life. He was no longer a factor in the prolonged team fights.
And then Matraka was able to walk into the rest of Copenhagen Wolves because Reckless was on the retreat, and they don't have any other threats. This is the lesson that I was talking about that CLG learned last season. 2 threats means that TCM can focus Lissandra as they've been doing, and that just leaves Reckless by himself as the lone source of damage that they really have to worry about. With a full tank Jarvan, a full tank Shen, it's not much else that they have to deal with, and Copenhagen Wolves really haven't had another answer here.
And Matroko is being super cheeky there, trying to use the crystal arrow on the dragon. Waited for the last couple of seconds. There is a little bit of splash damage on that arrow, but it was optimistic at best. For the time being, the mid inhibitor is down, and now the Copenhagen Wolves will see whether or not they can hold where TCM-Gaming was unable to in the previous game. Basically a mirror of that situation where now the Wolves, they need to make a play happen. They need to find a way back into this game. Naruto, Randy and Zombie completed. He's picked himself up that Bilgewater Cutlass. And a less negative view on Shyvana in this game. It does appear that that HP and that tankiness is kind of what the TCM squad needed.
They're able to run all over Copenhagen Wolves because she's so tanky and because there are so few threats on Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not adding more damage means that TCM change up their jungler. Because right now it looks like we are going to a deciding game. It does look like we're going to a game 3. Kautar jumps forward. They've caught out JWoww. He's taunted. JWoww is dead. Now Reckless is sitting from the backline trying to get as much damage down as possible. Stand United comes out onto Shuk2. He is going to survive, but not long as the Requiem closes him out. Reckless is forced backwards. There's no barrier nor a flash available. A Flay holds Young Buck in place, and Barney D manages to land the last auto attack to secure themselves the 3rd kill of the game. A 2-for-3 trade and a tower for TCM.
The Belgian Beast jumps right in there, able to zone 4 people, get out the guaranteed damage, and then the Requiem. All of that pressure allowed Ash to follow that one up. She was auto-attacking the entire fight, and with the last Whisper added on top of her crit combo of Phantom Dancer plus Infinity Edge, she melted right through these targets. It was a good initiate, and they were again able to take out JWoww before the fight even started. But 5 vs 4, they didn't have anything left once again. Ash, again, auto-attacking the entire time. Everyone has to run back through the Death Defied of Karthus, and they didn't have enough life to survive.
Belgian Beast's positioning in that fight covered the entirety of the stairwell. It covered the full left to right of the entry and up to the tower. So even though they killed him relatively quickly in the fight, Reckless was forced to stay on Defile, take the damage, and eat the lay waste or run away. And as soon as he backed off, there was just nothing left for the Copenhagen Wolves to defend against the TCM composition. So 12,000 gold lead. TCM now turn their focus towards the Baron pit. We'll see if they're going to ward this one up and either force a team fight or secure themselves a Baron and then decide to start sieging the last standing turrets in the lanes.
Now that there's also a Void Staff on the Belgian Beast, there's not a lot you can do to mitigate that damage. Even with the Quicksilver Sash here, Reckless is going to have a hard time. Look at the burst from that Elise.
Yeah, Kautar just forced totally backwards from there. JWoww, he's got a lot of ability power. Does have that Negatron Cloak build up as well. Reckless forced to use the Quicksilver Sash thanks to eating an Enchanted Crystal Arrow. So QSS is on cooldown, and there's that minute-and-a-half window where if they manage to land any other CC, that is going to be scary. TCM-Gaming starts off the Baron. This is going to be a 4-man Baron for the time being, as that death sentence file just a little short.
They can take it down so quickly, though. Karthus plus the percentage damage of a DPS Elise burns it down very fast.
Oh, take a look at those frost shots coming out of Matroco. They're slowing everybody down. No Crystal Arrow available. Youngbug forced to flash. Volley lands to slow as well. No Richardor gets up in range. He throws down the Randian's Omen. Cataclysm locks up Matroco and Belgian Beast, but the first victim to fall is Shook, and that's not a very tanky job, and he just got decimated by the DPS of TCM. There is a Requiem standing and available for Belgian Beast, but he's slowly running out of mana, so the longer this engagement goes, the more likely we are to see a Karthus suicide and just get all of those free spell casts.
2 inhibitors down mean that this is crunch time for Copenhagen Wolves. Baroned up, TCM is coming for the game.
Oh, we do see that Kautar forced to use that Claw of Doom to safety, trying to heal up on the Fountain before coming backwards. This is a 4 versus 5 defense, but we do see Reckless instantly exhausted. He is going to go down. JWoww basically able to solo him with some auto attacks from the background. Edge Arrow goes wide, not able to secure the kill on Kautar. However, the Volatile Spiderling plus some additional poison is, and TCM-Gaming even up the series at 1-1. We are going to a deciding match. We are going to Game 3 in the first semi-final of the Challenger Series tournaments.
Congratulations to TCM. They went with tons of damage in all 3 lanes, which enabled them to run that jungle Shyvana, even though she lost out in the early game with the ganks and even getting behind on dragons as well. Able to make his presence felt in the end game there. And adding on that Blade of the Ruined King meant that she was not only a huge tank, but also a threat that you can't ignore.
Yeah, the amount of damage that can come down on hit as well, and it really worked out. You can see TCM, they were jovial, they were excited after that victory, and stern looks here from the Copenhagen Wolves. Remember, TCM are playing without pressure. TCM have a spot in the spring promotion tournament. They're there. They're now playing for